Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. That's right, folks, you know where we're chilling. We've been chilling in the comic book corner, and this is kind of a different video than we've done before. This is number 17.1 on our list. I forgot to mention something very important in our number 17 review video for Black Panther. So pull up a chair, take a seat. Real quick, I want to talk about something super important. That's the post-credit scene from Black Panther. We mentioned how, like, the mid-credit scene was Black Panther, T'Challa, telling everybody that Wakanda was going to be more out in the open. But the post-credit scene, super important for Infinity Wars and the universe as a whole. Now I mentioned that I flip-flopped viewing-wise Ragnarok and Black Panther. Release date, that's the order they came out in. I did Black Panther first because I think the post-credit scene in Ragnarok sets up Infinity War better. But the post-credit scene in Black Panther is massive. And I'm glad I forgot to mention it because it deserves its own video. So the post-credit scene in Black Panther, we open up with a bunch of kids looking at the camera, clearly looking at somebody. They run out, they run to Shuri. She's like, "Oh, are you messing with the nice man again?" Man comes out, and it's Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. We all remember at the end of Civil War, him and Cap went to Wakanda with T'Challa to put Bucky back under until they could figure out how to wipe his mind clean. By the time you get to the end of the scene, he talks with Shuri, and you understand that they've fixed his mind, or at least are close to it being completely fixed. He says, "Call me Bucky," when she says Lieutenant Barnes. But then something very interesting is said. And it's important for several reasons. And most of it is for the bigger universe. But they mention him as White Wolf. Now, being comic book nerd like myself, familiar with White Wolf from the Black Panther comics. In the Black Panther comics, after a plane crash lands in Wakanda, King T'Chaka takes in a white boy whose parents die on the plane and raises him as his own. He becomes his adopted kid, kind of always at odds with Black Panther, but eventually takes the mantle of White Wolf. At odds with Black Panther is never about the throne per se, but they just had very different viewpoints. But always Hunter, which was his name, Hunter was very, very loved Wakanda. So he came back frequently to help out in certain situations and eventually aligned himself with T'Challa's successor. So that being said, that character clearly is not something that's going to happen in this universe, right? He's kind of become a lost character for the Black Panther universe. One, because his story would be probably too similar to what they just did with Killmonger. And two, that would be hard to kind of work in considering that King T'Chaka's dead. So now you've lost a character, which leaves us with Bucky Barnes. Now, yes, he references in the scene himself, like, "Call me Bucky." But we know at this point he's no longer Bucky. Bucky Barnes died fighting the Nazis in the 40s. Coming out of that, he became the Winter Soldier. And now he's no longer the Winter Soldier either. After Civil War, one, he loses his arm again. Two, he is actively trying to get rid of what was done to him. And at the end of this sequence, you kind of understand that that's happened. So now he's no longer the Winter Soldier, and he's no longer the Bucky that we were first introduced to. So you have this strange conundrum. At the same time, in play, going into Infinity War, everyone thinks the most obvious death that's going to happen, either at the end of this movie or more likely the end of 4, will be Steve Rogers. Now, whether or not Chris Evans wants to walk away, whether he wants to renew his contract, there's all sorts of things at play. I think he's the most obvious and probably smartest character to kill off somewhere in these next 2 movies. I would be kind of shocked if that didn't happen. But in a theoretical world, if that doesn't happen, you still have Falcon, and he can kind of keep that relationship that he has with Cap. And you have Bucky, who could keep playing Bucky and kind of fix that relationship, but he doesn't really have an identity right now. Now, even if Cap dies, I think the most logical person to put in his mantle would be Sam Wilson, and have Falcon step up to be the new Cap. I think that just works on a number of levels. One, he is an Avenger already. He has a better relationship with everybody. He's more of a leader, I think, than Bucky is at this point. And like I said, because of the relationships he's already had being an Avenger, it would make more sense for him to lead the group than Bucky, who's still kind of an outsider. There's that, and then, I mean, just culturally, to have a black Captain America, I think would be a really, strong statement to build off of, especially following Black Panther. So just for so many reasons, Sam Wilson makes more sense. Which leaves us, once again, with Bucky Barnes, who's not Winter Soldier anymore, and without Steve Rogers, there's nothing that ties him back to Bucky Barnes. Which brings us to this post-credit scene and why it's such a clever way to utilize this. Bucky needs something. He needs a new mantle. And you have this character that's kind of never going to be able to be used in the Black Panther world. Putting him as the White Wolf adds so much. One, it kind of confirms that the next Captain America will be Sam Wilson. And two, now you can play with someone else in Wakanda. We know how well, especially the Captain America movies, it works when you're adding people into those. The two best Captain America movies are Winter Soldier and Civil War, which introduce so many other characters. Right now you have people you can play with, right? You got Okoye, Shuri, M'Baku. You have enough to play with there, but to have someone from the outside be constantly in Wakanda, what a cool thing to give Bucky, right? Let him stay there, grow to love Wakanda and want to help there, become the White Wolf. And now, you're able to give him something else so that Sam can most likely eventually become Captain America. And you have someone that can play from the outside in the Wakanda world for, the future Black Panther movies. Love everything about that decision. So fascinating. Like I said, sets up what we're going to see, with him being White Wolf in the Avengers Infinity War. And bigger scope, we're kind of starting to see what the future holds. And it would seem that it will be Sam Wilson at some point being Cap. And hopefully Bucky getting to play in Wakanda. So that's it. 17.1, The White Wolf from Black Panther. In the books, hit the comments. Let me know what you thought about this scene, if you got it, if you understood it, if this helped, and what you think about the future going forward with Bucky and Sam and Cap. Hit those comments. Let me know what you think. As always, if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Also hit the little bell so you get an alert every time I make a new video, including the final installments of the Seaman's Infinity War Countdown. For the Seaman Cinema Sit Down, I am the Seaman. I am signing off. Peace!